So now we are on to things that we didn't even know we wanted, but that we're very happy to have.
A grill, or as they say in the UK, a barbecue. I thought we might have one if we had a garden. Didn't really think that it would be that important, but we use the grill all the time. It's very convenient, close enough that we just walk down with some ingredients. We can even see if someone's there from the bedroom window. There's enough of them that there's not really any contention. There's not really any point at which they're all busy. It's really good. I've grilled loads of stuff. It basically does a better job on almost everything. It also means you don't heat your house up in the summer because it gets quite hot here. So I didn't know that that would be an advantage, not having to put the oven on. It's also quite a nice activity. So if people visit, it's a thing that, especially if they're coming from somewhere in the winter, that they at least haven't done for a few months. So it's nice to be able to grill by a pool. Ooh, point 2.
The next point is that we didn't even know we could have a pool. Obviously we don't own it, but we have pool access. We're about a 30-second walk from a pool, and virtually everyone in Arizona in the Phoenix area, as far as I can tell, seems to have pool access. It's treated as just very normal here, and because it's so abnormal in the rest of the country and in Britain, we didn't know it was an option. But I never want to not have a pool now, basically. It's a really good facility. It's a good way to get exercise. It's a good way to socialize with people in the summer in a literally cool way. And it's good. I really like having a pool.
The next point is living in an area big enough to have things like Amazon Prime and other services that are selective. Because Britain's quite small, if something's in Britain, it will be in the whole of Britain. So you can get Prime in all of Britain, and it will be the same pretty much in all of Britain, I think. Because Britain isn't that big, so it isn't like there's going to be a massive delay. So, but in the US, are there areas that don't have Prime?
Yes, I think there might be, or at the very least there are areas that definitely don't have Prime now, or that don't have same-day Prime. So there are aspects of Prime that if you paid for in the countryside, you wouldn't get them. Whereas living here, we get all the new stuff. We had some colds recently, and we got groceries and some medication in less than 2 hours with Amazon Prime now, which I know that not everyone has. Or we've heard that there are going to be Uber driverless car trials here, and part of the reason they picked Arizona is because Phoenix is a big city, but also because our laws are more conducive than California's. So yeah, I think this is an area where where new cool things are more likely to get here earlier.
I'm looking forward to the driverless cars. I think I had an idea whilst we were travelling that there were areas that had Google Fibre and areas that didn't. But I didn't really think about how far that extended. But yeah, there are places in the countryside here that are probably not going to get certain services for a long time. But Phoenix is
not among them.
No.
It's funny, I've got friends who apparently cannot order a pizza where they live, so we definitely don't have anything like that problem. So this is a very good area for getting things delivered and getting new cool things.
Next on the list is a gym. It's good to go to the gym, and there are many reasons to not go. I didn't know we would need a gym that was really near us, but it became obvious that when there was a gym that's basically over here, that would be a useful thing, in as much as it would remove the last credible reason why I shouldn't go to the gym, which is, it's too far, or it's too much of a pain, or something like that. I thought we would do lots of cycling and things, but I didn't know that I needed a gym, but we're going fairly regularly now.
Now, one thing that might surprise a lot of our regular viewers is that we put a weirdly little amount of time into what weather we wanted. We knew we wanted it to be better than England, but as England isn't exactly famous for its fabulous weather, this was not a tall order. We didn't really think what specifically we wanted.
I think on the road we noticed that having sunshine and heat was generally good for us. It meant that we got a lot more just by travelling, and it meant that we started thinking about, are there places with lots of sunshine, lots of heat? We went to Florida, there was lots of sunshine, there was a lot of rain, and it was humid. So I think we realised that there was going to be places like that, but without the humidity. Just didn't think about it that much before. I don't know why. But yeah, it just didn't occur to us. But this is one of the best features of Arizona, or certainly for us. I know that it's a lot of people like 4 seasons, but we like one. And this is winter. Yeah, so that really works for us. It's nice it being very bright and sunny. I also didn't realise that once we got that for most of the time where it's overcast would just be hellish. So I've become really intolerant to it being grey for more than a few hours. Yeah, I didn't know that. But
yes, I think it means that whenever we're somewhere else, the weather seems less good. So I think we got very spoiled on that front. Like, you know, I think most people think of Italy as having good weather. And the weather wasn't bad when we were there earlier this year, but I still thought it's quite cloudy and muggy a lot of the time, and yeah, we're very spoiled on that front. I'm enjoying being that spoiled.
Yeah, it is good.
So something that we also hadn't really thought about is whether or not a place would work for us culturally. And I think this is because before we traveled, we didn't realize how culturally diverse the US was. That living in, say, South Carolina is very different from living in Oregon, which is very different from living here. And I think basically the culture of Central Arizona is naturally a bit Mexican, because we're quite close to there. So there is the original southwestern roots, but there's also just a massive amount of people from the upper Midwest. We've met loads of people from Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. I think that generally people from the Midwest that want to be warm go here or to Florida, whereas for instance in Texas we met more people from other parts of the South. So I think that those two things have melded into being something that we're quite comfortable with. Obviously being from Wisconsin, I'm familiar with Midwestern culture. Chris, having been there a million times and seeing my parents a lot, is also quite familiar. So that was something we could plug into. And Mexican culture as well, that means that there is excellent Mexican food here. There's access to lots of good produce, and we haven't had any trouble with getting to know people. Everyone's been very nice. And whereas, for instance, I think if I'd moved to South Carolina, even though it's a very nice place, I've never felt Southern. Being from Wisconsin, I thought it would be odd if I had. So I think it was much easier to plug in here than it would have been in certain other places.
Yeah, I think culturally this place is fine. Even though I'm more foreign than most people, in a way, having people from all over the US here means that it's probably not as pronounced. Maybe, I'm not sure. Or maybe it is, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like we've moved into a monoculture and we're not part of that culture. So I think that's been very good. I also work with people from all over the country because I work remotely. So there's another category. I didn't even know what to put this under, and it's things. I think I'm just going to call it a thing that I just didn't know how it would turn out, and that is homesickness. So I've heard of homesickness. I've known people who have been homesick. Some of them it's because they've moved pretty much by force or for some reason that they didn't choose. Obviously I miss my friends, family, and I miss Indian food. But generally, I think it's a different lifestyle. It wouldn't make sense to put one of our regular pubs, the Good Companions, like just over there. I haven't felt it. Maybe that's because I've had parents visit a couple of times, and also keeping in touch with whatever, Skype or FaceTime or whatever video chat program you use. That feels more like being in contact with people than a phone call does. A phone call feels very distant, whereas being able to take this selfie stick and actually talk to someone and show them around the property, like I showed my parents and my aunt around the property before they came here, being able to do that, essentially meeting people through video chat, that's hitting some of the spots in terms of that. So if homesickness is to do with not being able to do that, I think that so far it's been fine.
So that was our summary of our thoughts after living in Arizona for a whole year.